All right, Mark Kono reporting live from Sky 5, and we're going to stay with your images, Mark, and especially as we go to Steve Kuj. When you get a chance, we'd like to see a bit more of that industrial area. And Steve, we have concerns about what is burning. We know there are some animal centers there.
Yeah, the Mary S. Roberts Pet Adoption Center. We just want to try to get updates on that. We want to make sure the animals are safe.
You guys can hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you. Out to you.
Okay. So that pet adoption facility you're mentioning, it's actually right next door to this fire you see burning right here. For the time being, I think it's in a good space. It's safe. The way the winds are blowing, it's blowing away from where the pet adoption facility is. And there's plenty of firefighters around here to make sure any pets that are in that building stay safe and won't be hurt. They're going to make sure that building does not catch fire. Unfortunately, for this particular facility, this is going to be a complete and total loss. All this stuff you see burning right here, it's extremely flammable because this is what we're being told, it's a warehouse called Jack's Box and Crate. So this is a box and crate warehouse where you might imagine they've got a lot of cardboard, wood, and other very flammable materials, possibly some plastics and stuff in there. We're keeping our masks on because this is likely some very toxic stuff that you do not want to breathe in whatsoever. Once the 46 fire's embers got too close, all it took was a little bit of those landing on this flammable material, and poof, up went everything. And now we have this massive warehouse that's been completely engulfed. And as we're right here now, hey, turn around, look at, another spot of the building just caught fire right next to us. We're going to be pretty careful because, hopefully the power has been cut to the structure, because you're looking at what looks like power lines going into the building itself here that are now sparking and catching fire. I want to show you this over here. This is what I was talking about, the ladder trucks they have up here with their remote controlled hoses, so they can get a much better position. And right now they're just throwing hundreds of gallons of water onto these, it looks like pallets and cardboard and wood, other types of structures and burnable materials over here. Mandatory evacuations are in effect for this whole area. You're seeing these huge ember casts being just shot up into the air from the Santa Ana River bottom. And it's those embers that you see floating through the air right now and caught all this stuff on fire that's sitting outside.
Steve, this location where you're at, it was up against the Mary S. Roberts Pet Adoption Center. A lot of folks concerned about those pets. At last check, those pets were safe. The wind was blowing away from that facility. Is that still the case?
The winds are shifting back and forth. It's hard to say from one minute to the next. The reality of the situation is the fire you're seeing here, this is right up against the backyard of this pet adoption center. We can actually walk right over there. This is where the fire is burning right now. This is one of the front lines here in the Santa Ana riverbed. And just over here, as we walk, this is that pet adoption center that, from the looks of it, still has hundreds of dogs and cats and other animals inside. We've been listening to them, barking and howling at, some of them crying for the last several minutes. We're gonna get closer just so you can, see them. We've got Rottweilers here, some Huskies, various animals, and as any animal would be, any person would be, they're frightened. They don't know what's going on. They smell the smoke in the air. They can see the fire, the bright sky being lit up by the flames. There's firefighters walking back and forth, all these strangers.
Hey, Steve.
This is a scary moment for them.
Are there workers?
Yes.
Are there volunteers out there, trying to get them evacuated?
There are volunteers. I've been seeing some volunteers running back and forth, but when you're talking about hundreds of pets potentially in here and only a handful of volunteers, that's a lot of dogs and animals to move in a short amount of time.
Sure.
Earlier, minutes ago, we saw the fire burn right up to this fence line. As we walk back over here, minutes ago in my last live shot, and even from overhead in Mark, you were seeing the fire lap right up against this fence line over here. And, that was, pretty scary to watch, but now here it is. Oh. Hey there. You work with the Pet Adoption Center?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Where's the fire department guy?
The fire department, is there something going on over there inside, or you need help?
No, we're just seeing how we're evacuating, and we're just kind of seeing what the status is right now.
It is looking better than it was, I'll tell you that, by far,
Super.
How many dogs and pets do you have inside here?
There's about 100 animals, maybe 150 total. Mm-hmm. I'm not really sure right now. Yeah. We'll get someone to talk to you in a minute.
Gotcha. Well, overhead, we got a helicopter moving into position. This might be one of those, water dropping helicopters getting out here. Obviously this is scary. I mean, you heard the panic in that guy's voice. They got all these dogs that are like family members to them, and they want to save these animals, these pets, and it's really tough because there's just too many of them to evacuate all at once. It's a process that would at least take, I'd imagine, an hour, maybe more. Hear that fire is one more time. From the looks of it, most of this stuff has already burned, and as long as the winds stay kind of relatively calm and blowing away from this pet adoption center here in Riverside, conditions will be favorable, and hopefully that we won't see this structure go up in flames.
Just to give you an idea, that's the pet adoption center right there. You can see the fire just to the north side of the building here, so that's how close that fire is. It's really coming up to the very edge of the property there.
I think to the right, we've got a picture. It's frozen from Steve Kuj. It looked like there was almost some evacuation happening. He's actually inside the center. Whenever we have him, we can take him. You can see he is inside the shelter right now.
They're creating them.
Where they are. I mean, bless these volunteers.
It's hard to watch.
It is. No, it
Just
is.
to hear the animals and the way they sound is really tough.
Okay, Steve, are you there? I think we've got a good shot here. Oh. How many volunteers are we talking in terms of that you're seeing there, Steve?
I'd say at least a dozen volunteers that are in here. A lot of these people have just arrived in the last minute or so.
Amazing.
Folks just rushing in here to do what they can to get these animals to safety.
And where are they taking them?
As we were talking to one of the directors of the facility, I don't know yet. I think they're still trying to figure that out because they've got so many of them. And some of these animals need to be separated. Others will can be grouped together. Here you have all these kittens, so you're dealing with a lot of different animals that'll have to be dealt with separately. You can't put kittens in the same cage that you're going to put a Doberman.
Exactly.
But here these guys are very friendly. They're just a little concerned. They smell the smoke. They can obviously sense the tension too. Let me see if I can't just talk to someone to get an idea. Excuse me, miss, could you just give us a quick idea? What are you doing right now with all the animals and pets? We're live on Channel 5.
So right now we're going to just go ahead and keep our animals in place. The fire department has told us that that's the best thing to do right now, although we are preparing to evacuate if we need to be. So we're going to prepare that. We're referring back to our disaster preparedness plan, our disaster plan, and we're going to proceed as we would have to evacuate, but right now we're not evacuating.
Gotcha. Do you need any more help from volunteers?
No, not right now. It's actually too many bodies, but we will put the call out if we do need them. So everybody stay tuned. Yeah.
Good. Thank you so much. As you heard it right there, they got plenty of volunteers. It's been remarkable. I think just in the time that we've been, going live in the last maybe 30 minutes from this pet adoption facility, we've seen maybe another dozen or so people just, spawn out of nowhere and pop up here to help out as need be. Obviously, when pets are in danger, people are going to come to the rescue and try to help them out. And, this is a dire situation. Moments ago, we were standing right in the backyard of this pet adoption facility as the flames were licking up against the side of the building. Let's walk back outside for a second just to give you an idea of just how dire things are. And again, I'm going to put my mask on and put my goggles down. You good, Darren? Okay. Because as we walk outside, you see just how smoky the air is. I mean, you can see it. It's lingering everywhere like a thick fog. And it's even with the mask on, you can still smell it. It permeates everything. And if you were out here for a while without a mask or any kind of breathing system, you'd certainly get sick. Over here, this is where the fire department is engaged in a tactical battle against this warehouse fire. And as the sun's come up, the wind has certainly picked up. I was talking to you earlier about how, there wasn't much wind. It was only 5 to 10 miles an hour. Well, in the last 30 minutes or so, I've seen the winds drastically pick up. We're going to keep an eye on everything out here. I know so many of you are concerned about those pets. We're not going anywhere. We'll keep an eye out here, and we won't leave until we make sure everyone and every animal is safe.
And KTLA Steve Kuj on the ground, as Mark Kona was mentioning, at the Roberts Pet Adoption Center. We heard a couple of things, Steve. We heard that initially firefighters said to just shelter in place and wait with the pets. What is the latest on the situation there?
When I last talked to volunteers just a couple of minutes ago, that was still the plan. They're going to shelter in place. The situation around this pet adoption facility has improved greatly. But a couple hours ago, there was a huge panic in this area. The fire was approaching this building. It was right in the backyard, just feet away. We had this whole box and crate warehouse just right next door, up in flames, shooting embers all over the place. Let's walk inside the pet adoption center. When we first got here, I don't think there was maybe just one or two people, volunteers, but when the call went out that this pet adoption facility was in direct threat, the volunteers just started showing up by the dozens. Just kind of give you a look at some of them. Oh, excuse us. Oh, what's that?
Where are you going? I don't want to be on TV.
Oh, it's okay. We're just talking right now on TV, giving everyone a live look at everything.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, it's
You
our
were
job.
such a big help. And us and bring the dogs out. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate you.
We're just doing our job.
Thank you so much. We appreciate
You're very welcome. And you can see, look at these guys. They're all spinning right now. I mean, they're exhausted from all the energy and chaos that was unfolding around here. Again, right now, we are going to be sheltering in place with all these kittens and the dogs. You know, you can see, I mean, the kind of toll this takes on animals. I mean, here you got a couple of the dogs that are just exhausted. And, you know, having to breathe in all that smoke that was outside, it's hard. You know, it's really takes a toll on all of them, and not just them, but, you know, the volunteers in here, it takes a toll on their hearts as well. You know, people were terrified, thinking if this building was to catch fire, they might have to leave some of these animals behind. Because, you know, when you have hundreds of dogs and cats all locked up behind cages, you know, what do? Do you just open the cages and let them all run free if the building catches fire? You know, they were trying to figure out what to do. Thankfully, you know, they were able to secure and keep the animals safe. The one move that they did have to these dogs that were outside and move them inside. Just walking over here real quick, we're getting another look at just a couple of these animals. Again, this shelter, the Mary S. Roberts Pet Adoption Facility, is still under threat by the 46 fire. Things are looking much better. Firefighters are here keeping an eye on it, and we're going to make sure things stay safe. And we won't leave until this place is 100% all in the clear. That's the scene live here in Riverside. I'm Steve Couge. I'll throw it back to you guys for now.
All right, Steve, thank you for that.